You're listening to
Catholic Sprout,
the daily podcast for Catholic kids that strives to plant seeds of faith.
Greetings, young Squire Sprouts. Today is the 9th day in the 9th month in the year of our Lord 2023. My name is Sir Roland and you're listening to Saturdays with Sir Roland on Catholic Sprouts, where every Saturday we discuss the art of dragon slaying. Today we celebrate the feast day of St. Peter Claver. He was a native of Spain, but in the year of our Lord 1610, he left his homeland to be a missionary in the New World, where he was ordained as a priest. He settled in the port city of Cartagena, which was the center of the slave trade at that time. They had over 10,000 African slaves being brought to Cartagena every year. Even though the Pope had condemned slave trading, it continued to flourish. But those slaves were treated so poorly, it's estimated a third of them died on the way there. And it's in this context that St. Peter Claver dedicated his life to helping them know and understand their dignity as sons and daughters of the Father. He cared for them and gave them medicine and food, and most importantly, the hope of a Christian life. It is said he baptized an estimated 300,000 slaves before he died. I can't think of a greater gift than that, and his extreme generosity reminds me a lot of St. Mother Teresa, whom we talked about last week, as both of them dedicated their lives to the poorest of the poor. For our lesson today, I'd like to do something I've never done before. It is a game called Name That Dragon. I'm going to tell a story from the Bible, and throughout the story, I'm going to give you an opportunity to identify and name the dragon who is influencing the characters in the story, or the dragon who the character is slaying in the story. Are you ready? The story we're going to use today is one of my favorite Bible stories about Joseph, from Genesis chapter 37 through 45. It's not the New Testament Joseph, the foster father of Jesus, but the favored son of the 12 sons of Israel, who is one of the people in the Old Testament who most foreshadows Jesus. Just like Jesus, Joseph was the beloved son of his father. And just like Jesus, he was betrayed by those closest to him. Just like Jesus, he was betrayed with silver. Just like Jesus, he was accused of a crime he didn't commit. And just like Jesus, he used evil for good to turn that grave injustice into an opportunity to save his people. And just like Jesus, he forgave those who betrayed him. So let's look at the story and find all the dragons in the story. Well, first off, Israel, whose original name was Jacob, had two wives, Rachel and Leah. This practice was often allowed in the Old Testament because of the hardness of hearts of the people, who didn't yet understand the covenantal nature of marriage. Having two wives can lead to all kinds of problems. Which dragon do you think most encouraged them to have multiple wives? A, the blue dragon of wrath, B, the yellow dragon of sloth, C, the indigo dragon of gluttony, or D, the violet dragon of lust? You can pause if you'd like to discuss or share with your family which answer you think is right after I ask each of these questions. The answer is D, the violet dragon of lust, Agaba. Now, Israel loved Rachel more than he loved Leah, but Rachel was unable to have children for a long time. Leah had the first 11 children, and 10 of them were boys. And then finally, after much prayer, Rachel had a baby boy. Because Israel loved Rachel more, he developed a special love for her baby boy named Joseph. So as you can imagine, when baby Joseph grew up and his father gave him special gifts and seemed to love him more than his older brothers, those brothers got really jealous. Which dragon do you think was tempting them? A, the orange dragon of envy, B, the yellow dragon of sloth, C, the green dragon of greed, or D, the indigo dragon of gluttony? And the answer is A, the orange dragon of envy. So the older brothers got so jealous, they decided they wanted to kill their little brother and seized an opportunity one day to throw him in an old mine shaft. Which dragon influenced them to do something so mean? A, the green dragon of greed, B, the blue dragon of wrath, C, the yellow dragon of sloth, or D, the violet dragon of lust? The answer is B, the blue dragon of wrath. While Joseph was in the mine shaft, a caravan of rich people were passing by going to Egypt. So one of the brothers got the idea they could sell Joseph as a slave to make money. So not only would they be rid of Joseph, they could make money on him. Which dragon gave him this idea? A, the yellow dragon of sloth, B, the blue dragon of wrath, C, the red dragon of pride, or D, the green dragon of greed? The answer is the green dragon of greed. Now, when Joseph went to Egypt, he was sold as a slave to a man named Potiphar. Joseph was such a good worker that Potiphar really liked him and started to treat him kindly and give him more privileges. Unfortunately, Potiphar's wife also took a liking to Joseph, and she wanted to cheat on her husband by getting Joseph to like her. She was influenced by which dragon? A, the violet dragon of lust, B, the red dragon of pride, C, the blue dragon of wrath, or D, the orange dragon of envy? The answer is A, the violet dragon of lust. Well, Joseph knew it would be wrong to take another man's wife as his own, so he refused her advances. This made her burning mad, and she lied to her husband and said that Joseph tried to make advances on her so that Joseph would get in trouble. She was influenced this time by which dragon? A, the blue dragon of wrath, B, the green dragon of greed, C, the indigo dragon of gluttony, or D, the yellow dragon of sloth? The answer is the blue dragon of wrath, Chaudhara. So Joseph ended up in prison for a crime he didn't commit. But Joseph had a gift for interpreting dreams, and one day the Pharaoh in Egypt, the most powerful man in the land, had a strange dream about 7 fat cows and 7 skinny cows. They summoned Joseph, and he was able to interpret the dream that Egypt would have 7 good years followed by 7 years of severe famine. The Pharaoh was so impressed that he put Joseph in charge of fixing the problem. Joseph was a smart saver, so instead of telling the people to celebrate and use all the food the first 7 years, they were to save a portion of the grain for the 7 years of famine that were coming so they could feed themselves and others. Joseph taught them to slay which dragon by being smart and generous with their wealth? A, the green dragon of greed, B, the blue dragon of wrath, C, the orange dragon of envy, or D, the yellow dragon of sloth? The answer is A, the green dragon of greed. Well, wouldn't you know it, when the famine hit, everybody outside of Egypt was starving, including Joseph's brothers, and they traveled to Egypt to find food. When Joseph saw them coming, he disguised themselves to see if his brothers were sorry for what they had done. He threw their new little brother Benjamin, in prison, and they wanted to see how they would react. The brothers pleaded and offered their own lives to get little Ben back, so Joseph knew they were sorry. Instead of getting revenge for how mean they were, he forgave his brothers, and he saved them from the famine. He slayed which dragon? A, the blue dragon of wrath, B, the indigo dragon of gluttony, C, the green dragon of greed, or D, all of the above? The answer is D. He slayed them all. Well, I hope you liked our game, Name That Dragon. My challenge for you this week is not only to begin to look for dragons in the Bible stories you read and hear at Mass, but also let me know if you like this game. And until next week, I'll leave you under the protection of St. Michael the Great Archangel, St. Joseph the Terror of Dragons, and Mary, Queen of the Angels, Our Lady of Grace, and the woman whose seed crushed the head of the dragon.
That's it for Catholic Sprouts today. We'll be back tomorrow, but until then, continue to grow in your faith and truly sprout into the beautiful creation that God created you to be.
Hey, parents and kids, our resource of the week for the Dragon Slayers Training Guild is a free coloring page of the green dragon, Argyros. If you aren't in the training guild yet, just go to extraordinarymission.com/dragonslayers and register for free. And remember, listen to Catholic Sprouts every day, including Saturdays with Sir Roland.
This podcast is part of the Spoke Street Network. For more great podcasts, visit spokestreet.com.